Thank you all for your patience. It's my great pleasure to bring the Tuesday, March 25th, 2025 regular meeting of the El Segundo Unified School District Board of Education to order at 6:22. And is there any public comment? Seeing none. Oh, there is one. Let's see. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah. It's now my pleasure to ask the person who puts super in superintendent, or yeah. No, our executive assistant to the superintendent, Tracy Adams, will lead us in the pledge of allegiance. I will report that we did not take any action in closed session. And now we move on to item 3C, public communications, and I am going to read the preamble. Thank you for taking the time to address the Board of Education during public comment time. Individuals who have submitted a speaker card may address the board on any topic within the board's jurisdiction, regardless of whether it is listed on the agenda. However, the board may only discuss agendized items in the order shown in the posted agenda. Topics not on the agenda that are brought to the board's attention may be investigated by the administration and may be reported to the board either publicly or privately at a future meeting. Comments shall not exceed 3 minutes per individual speaker for non-agenda items and 5 minutes for agenda items. Thank you again to the members of the public for your comments tonight. We value your input. And we have the wonderful Miss Tiffany Masonette, who would like to speak.
Hello. Me and my clients are here from...
Man, get out of there with that. Wasting everyone's time, okay? Basically, we got a show on Thursday, okay? March 27th. It's going on for 2 whole weeks, okay? That's longer than I can count on 2 hands, okay? That's
okay,
long.
what my client is trying to explain...
So what my co-partner is saying, basically, we're Brooklyn, right? We got the Bronx, we got Manhattan, we got all of us. Basically, we're starting a union because we're striking, because them suckers, they're raising the price of the newspapers, and it's ridiculous.
Okay, let's calm down, buddy. Okay, the show's gonna be awesome, okay? We got a lot of singing, a lot of dancing. We got a lot of talented people in the show. You wouldn't want to miss it. The cast is different every single night. Every single night is gonna be a different thing. It's gonna be amazing, all right? Anybody else have anything to add? No? All right, we strike at dawn, okay? Strike! 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 Strike!
All right, moving on to special presentations. Our student representative report, Grady Lubes.
I have to follow that. That's dang. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. It has been another action-packed couple of weeks at ESHS. So, first of all, ASB elections are just around the corner. Right after spring break, we'll be kicking off election week, so very exciting. There's going to be a lot of competition this year in all of the positions, so should be a fun one. The March Madness 3-on-3 basketball tournament is heating up, and we're down to the semifinals tomorrow with only 4 teams left. The competition's been intense. Actually, my team is, against all odds, still alive, but I have a feeling the Cinderella story might end for us tomorrow. So, anyways, Spring sports are absolutely crushing it so far. Some very notable records. Baseball's off to a strong 9-2-1 start. Softball's dominating at 12-3. Boys golf is undefeated at 10-0-1. And boys volleyball is killing it with a 13-2 record as well. It's looking to be a promising season for all of our spring sports teams, so hoping for some CIF runs as well. This week is also Spring Spirit Week. Yesterday was Class Colors, today was Groutfit Day, and tomorrow is Jersey Day. Thursday is College Day for College and Career Day, and we're ending the week with Blue and Gold Friday, so don't forget to show your Eagle pride. That brings us to College and Career Day, which is a super exciting yearly event coming up on Thursday where students get to look at different career options from members of the community who come and give presentations. And college reps are also on campus to introduce students to colleges as well. Last week, we wrapped up Neurodivergent Week, which featured daily events and games in the Wellness Center. ASB was proud to support and celebrate our neurodivergent community. A big shout out to the seniors who participated in day one of the Civics Day project. Students in political behavior visited City Hall to learn directly from city officials, a great tradition that keeps our school connected with the local community. And it was also awesome to see you guys there as well. So, Friday is a very exciting and also slightly sad day because it is our final pep rally of the year. So get ready for fun games and lots of hype to send us into spring break on a high note. On the arts side, this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, as you guys all saw, and the following weekend actually this year, ESHS is presenting Newsies, so make sure to come out and support that. I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic show. For those who missed it, the March episode of Bird's Eye View also dropped last week, so check it out to stay in on the loop on everything that happens around campus. Coming up, the Hometown Fair is just around the corner. Each grade will have a booth, and many clubs and organizations at ESHS will have booths as well. And finally, when we return from spring break, we'll celebrate our Eagle Elite. Students with a 3.75 GPA or higher will get Cold Stone ice cream, so I am personally excited to indulge in that. That's it for now. Lots to celebrate and much to look forward to. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Brady. And now we have an update from the employee associations, and I see Steve Lubes in the back.
Good evening. On behalf of ESTA, we just wanted to invite the board. We have our fiesta coming up on May 30th at 3:30. There will be an email coming forth, don't worry, but wanted to put it on your radar. We want to recognize not only our Educators of the Year, but also our retirees. So we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.
And now a special student recognition, Richmond Street School recognition of Civic Learning Summit students. Carrie Lashian.
Good evening, Board President Glenn, board members, Superintendent Dr. Johnson, and members of the Cabinet. I am proud to share that Richmond Street School's former fifth graders were specially invited to present at the California Civic Learning Summit this February in Sacramento. This annual event brings together over 100 attendees, including teachers, school administrators, school board members, state legislators, legislative staff, and civic learning leaders from across the state. The summit's goal is to inspire and empower educators to promote civic engagement within their school communities. ESUSD students were the only students selected to present at this two-day conference. Their invitation was based on the outstanding projects that they completed last spring while they were fifth graders at Richmond Street School. As part of their research, students explored the impact of waste, formulated insightful questions, and gathered evidence to understand its effects on the community. They then developed practical solutions and presented their findings to both El Segundo City Council and to some of you as board members. Through this initiative, our students not only cultivated a sense of responsibility for sustainability and waste reduction, but also gained a deeper appreciation for civic engagement and its role in a thriving democracy. Their work exemplifies the power of student voice in shaping a better future, and we are incredibly proud of their achievements. Do I read the names or do you come up? Yeah, Miss Wheaton is. Okay, these are our students. We first have Maya Grafe. Emery Plotkin. Iris Pimentel. Mackenzie Hart. And John Caban. We also have our 5th grade teachers, Ms. Cheryl Crotty, Ms. Dana Brooks, who not only taught them, but also chaperoned up to Sacramento, Miss Wendy Dooley, and chaperone, Miss Celia Plotkin.
No, on top, I'll take it. Everybody can step up and take it. Okay. Yeah, oh, real close. Okay, ready right here, one. All right, parents, get in there, get your pictures.
There, this is with Carrie's phone, hold on. Good ones, it's for a principal, guys, come on. All right, now parents, right?
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Very well done.
Moving along with special presentations, we have the El Segundo Middle School presentation from Dr. Sarah DeVlantis.
Good evening, President Glenn, members of the board, Dr. Johnson, members of cabinet. I first want to acknowledge my fabulous assistant principal would be here, but she has the flu, so we're very sad to miss her and wish her that she is well and back very soon. We make a dynamic team. So good evening, thank you for joining us. Thank you for letting me join you this evening. I want to talk tonight with you about El Segundo Middle School and how we are fostering belonging at ESMS. Do I shoot this way? Oh, on. That's novel. Is that the red one in the middle? Dude. Oh, it says on. Good job. You know. All right, fostering belonging at El Segundo Middle School. At ESMS, we believe that belonging is the foundation of student success. When students feel like they are part of a community, they are more engaged, more motivated, and more resilient. Belonging isn't just about feeling included, it's about knowing you are valued and supported. Tonight, I will share with you how our initiatives foster this sense of belonging and positively impact our students. To create a consistent and welcoming environment, we established common expectations for classrooms, hallways, and play areas. These expectations that you see here are clearly posted across campus to help students feel secure and supported in every space, including those classrooms and hallways and play areas. Students thrive in environments where they know what's expected and can focus on their learning and relationships. Recognizing positive behavior is central to our culture of belonging. Our Bark Buck program celebrates students' positive behavior in classrooms and on campus, reinforcing their sense of pride and accomplishment. Sending positive notes home builds a strong connection between school and family. We also set aside time in our PD and staff meetings for staff to send home weekly Top Dog Award for their classes. And each week in the announcements, we set a Bark Buck challenge for students. When they are recognized doing the Bark Buck challenge, they are awarded with Bark Bucks, which they turn into their fourth period classes for our school-wide competition. We just did our February award this week with our fourth period Miss Maltese class, who won a popcorn party. Whether it's a small token, a special privilege, or a simple acknowledgement, these rewards help students feel seen and valued. One student recently told us that being recognized makes them feel like their hard work really matters and they are proud of themselves. In addition to daily rewards, we take time to spotlight student achievements through our IB Learner Profile Awards. These ceremonies highlight students who embody the MYP attributes. Parents and students alike tell us how much these meaningful gestures contribute to their sense of belonging and that students feel valued for being recognized. Students are selected in their third period classes, either by peers or by their teacher. These assemblies are held monthly to honor our Bulldogs. Parents are invited to this before school ceremony to celebrate their students. At one of our recent assemblies, an 8th grade parent told us that initially, when it was time for her child to come to ESMS, she was nervous and hesitant. Now, she knows her child and she are sad to leave ESMS. This was such a sweet way to tell us how much her child feels supported and belongs at ESMS. Belonging isn't built by chance. It's cultivated through collaboration. Our Climate and Culture Committee brings together staff, students, and families to develop activities and events that foster community, such as our Red Ribbon Week, our Wellness Fair, and our Career Day, which is upcoming. Social media plays a big role in engaging families and celebrating successes. It's also important for students to see staff engaging with them outside of the classroom. Events like our annual staff versus student kickball game bring energy, excitement, and connection beyond academics. Transitioning to middle school can be overwhelming, and a strong start is essential for belonging. That's why we have WEB, Where Everybody Belongs, our 6th grade orientation program. Through WEB, 7th and 8th grade leaders are trained to mentor incoming 6th graders, providing guidance, friendship, and a warm welcome from the very first day of school. WEB leaders facilitate activities, give school tours, and check in with their mentees throughout the year. This program builds positive peer relationships and ensures that every 6th grader starts their middle school journey feeling connected and supported. A shout out and thank you to Ed and Kiwanis for supporting this programming for our school. We feel so fortunate to have 3 dedicated counselors at ESMS. With Ms. Klein in our Bulldog Den and our fabulous Mr. Pacheco and Ms. Moore, we know that our school counselors play a vital role in student belonging. They meet with students one-on-one, lead small group sessions, and collaborate with teachers and families to ensure students feel supported both emotionally and academically. They also work closely with our Climate and Culture Committee, Wellness Center, and leadership team to foster a positive school climate. We make sure to meet weekly to plan and guide on best supports for all children. Whether helping students navigate challenges, set goals, or build confidence, our counselors are at the heart of our student support system. For students who might need extra support, our Wellness Center or Bulldog Den is a safe and calming space. Whether they need a moment to rest, recharge, reset, or work through a challenge, this space helps them feel cared for. Our counselors also facilitate student groups here, addressing social and emotional needs in a proactive and meaningful way. The Bulldog Den has been a game changer in creating a supportive school climate. In closing, we are proud of the progress we've made in fostering belonging at ESMS. From clear expectations to recognition programs, collaborative events, our counselors, and the Bulldog Den, every initiative helps students feel like they are a valued part of our community. Thank you for your continued support in building a school where every student belongs. Let's continue this journey together because belonging leads to success for all. Thank you for having me this evening. Are there any questions that you have?
I don't have questions. I have comments. That,
Sure.
You know, just to see the way that you have really brought this community together. Like, middle school's tough, right? But you and your team have been so thoughtful in trying to work through the developmental things that our students deal with in this space. So I really appreciate all of the new things that you've brought under your leadership. And again, with the whole team of staff there, it's really beautiful to see how it's grown. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I'll chime in and say I love how belonging is the center point for everything. I love that for the students, for student to student, but I can tell you from my student being there last year how you present and what it means for you to be approachable to the students, that absolute belonging, that safety. Middle school is such an interesting time, mixed hormones, mixed emotions, all the things that go with it. So having a safe environment, but most importantly, having an adult that sees you, that is someone that you feel is a safe place, you provide that, a safe space, excuse me, you provide that, and I thank you for that, for really just going in and not just putting the words out as a target, but being something that is really a road for which you travel.
Thank you.
So there's no secret here. Bulldogs are my den. They're my home. I am so proud of all the work that you have done, and congratulations to the doctor in front of the Sarah DeVlantes.
Thank you.
I want to say that. But it is so great to see this. Having seen some of this when I was there, the web program really started and got going, and some of the other things. But now to see, the kids in the gym and doing all the other wonderful things that they're doing, the Bulldog Den, the counseling, it's wonderful to see, because it is a really, really difficult time for these kids. Adolescence is no fun. So it is, but it's not. So they have a lot of fun, but it's
we
not.
try to have fun.
But it's not necessarily the most fun time of their lives in some ways. So anything that we can do to help them navigate through it is wonderful, and I'm proud to say that I will always be a Bulldog.
We're always glad to have you.
I just want to add one thing, which is very heartening, is that some of us were at the PTSA Awards, and your assistant, Andrea, was recognized for being the outstanding administrator. And I think Tracy was beside me, and I looked at Tracy and go, that is just fabulous, because we know how difficult the path has been, and to see the parents recognizing what a great assistant you have and what a great team you have was lovely to see.
Yeah, no shade to my colleagues, but I'm the only administrator that got an award at that event. So
there you go.
Can't help it. I can't help it.
I'll finish that off with saying that, seeing all the things that you've brought and having the older kids that have already been through middle school, I am excited even more for Jax to be there next year. You obviously, like everyone has said, and I'll echo it, positivity and just inclusivity, and I just think what you're doing is awesome.
Thank you. We're excited to have him next year. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a good evening.
Thank you. And our final presentation is a presentation regarding District Goals Survey results. Dr. Johnson.
Thank you, President Glenn, members of the board, Tracy. So tonight I'm going to talk about our district goals survey results. The survey was given approximately 2.5 weeks ago, and I'm going to give sort of like a top view of our process all the way down to the nitty-gritty of our goals. Just two things I want to note before I get started. One is in your packets are the survey result summaries for each group. So that's the elementary to high school as well as parents and staff. That is a more detailed look. This is posted in our board agenda too for those that may be watching. And then we will, concluding this, send out an email to all staff, all community with links, so that everyone can look at those results as well too. All right, here we go. The board, as you remember, approved this survey. And during the conduct of the survey, we did an analysis, and I would say your top three themes are classroom instruction, support services, and facilities as areas for growth or improvement over the next 3 years. And then looking forward, the board is going to take a shot at the first draft at our upcoming workshop using the results from the survey, among other evidence that we've collected since January. Right, so this is pulling back out to look at our process. You see what we've accomplished starting in January, and we're at the section of the survey results. Once we have that goal draft, that's going to lead into May, where we'll start our feedback meetings with our educational partners. Right, so here were our focus areas. These were the areas that we worked together to select, and there were kind of like, subtopics for each to kind of give everyone an idea of what would be encompassed with each of those focus areas. The district goals survey surveyed these educational partners. First and foremost, our students, and then our parents at all levels and all levels of staff, including classified, certificated, and management. The survey structure was mostly free response, or 4 questions of that. So it very much is a qualitative survey, and then we'll get deeper into question 4, which was a quantitative survey about how people felt about the transitions level to level. All right, survey question number 1. There you see it's, the basis of the question is, within these areas in this focus area, where do we want to improve over the course of the next 3 years? Here is a summary of your results. As I mentioned before, in your packets, there's a much detailed summary. I want to talk about just the process of analysis. So we took all of the responses and we used ChatGPT to summarize the most frequently mentioned responses and summaries of those most frequently mentioned responses. And it gave us a list of 10, as we mentioned. And I want to just highlight that if you look at the summary analysis, 1 through 5, those were very frequently mentioned. And I would say that they're also built a little more equally between how much they were mentioned. Rank 6 through 10, less so. I would say that they, to compare the number of mentions of rank 9 to rank 1 is a much larger difference. Not to say that these are one-offs, but they were definitely less frequently mentioned in comparison. The color coding is taking what are the top 5 themes across all stakeholder groups. So, for example, you see in green, athletics. Like in some way, shape, or form. So for students grades 3 through 5, that was the number 1 most mentioned area for improvement. 6 through 8, number 2. 9 through 12, number 2. For parents, it was number 3, and for staff, it was number 3. And there you see the number 1, like most mentioned, is classroom instruction. And this ranged everywhere from like modalities of instruction, such as engagement, like our differentiation, to content-based as well too. So the types of things that are taught, like such as pathway courses. So it was a range within there. Looking at these results, are there any clarifying questions about this information? Then I'll keep it moving. Survey question number 2 under community of well-being. This is definitely the most robust area of our focus goals. So we saw a wider range of answers because there's a wider range of topics within this. And then here are our results. Support services was number one, going away. Support services includes everything from counseling intervention to academic support to special education. I do think one of the reasons it's number one is because it's a large catch-all. I would also observe too that there's probably some suggestive bias in the survey. If you look at the things that are listed, there's a pretty high correspondence between that and the things that are mentioned. So if I say like, what do you think about such and such? Someone's gonna say, well, I think this about such and such. So that definitely has to be taken into account when doing this type of analysis of a lot of responses and a summary. Generally speaking though, I would point out that there is like a pretty decent alignment between responses. It's not like there's these extreme outliers, like in each. So what is most frequently mentioned tends to be what is most frequently mentioned across all educational partners. Any questions about these results? Great, keep it going. Survey question number 3, legacy of innovation and sustainability. To me, these are sort of the operational along with IT and innovation. Got some interesting responses. This was the one that actually surprised me the most. I got that question at PTA, which wouldn't surprise you the most. So here you see the results. It's a little more mixed than the other responses. But the thing that I thought was most interesting, just as an observation, was environmental sustainability responsibility ranks so high among our youngest students, which I just think is interesting. Clearly, the high school students just don't care. Thanks a lot, Grady. No, it was very well mentioned, and I think that even within the different areas, like cleanliness for the high school students was actually was like a very close cousin to if you look within the raw data itself. But I just thought that was interesting, hopeful, and also a good challenge for us. That like our students, a lot of the feedback was like that. I think we can do better, and I think that it's a part of marrying the educational program with our actions as a school district. So Kim and I have been working on long-term planning for sustainability, but I think that this is definitely a call for practice what you preach that we need to take account of. Feedback or clarifying questions here?
No, I will say though, I like looking at the bottom things that people think are okay or comparatively speaking. So I'm kind of looking at the colors, but also looking at the bottom while we're at it. So.
That's definitely an interesting way of looking at it. I actually didn't think about it that way, but yeah, that they're more one-offs. They're less frequently mentioned as themes. Yeah.
I actually like that for the high school students that cleanliness is on the list. Yeah. So we're going to practice that at home.
Yeah, yeah. Survey says. Yeah, yeah. I think the thing that I appreciated, especially in relation to facilities such too, is that there's a school pride. I especially saw that at the high school if you read some of the raw data comments, which I'm still working my way through. But there is a degree of pride. People, kids. I think sometimes there's assumption like, they don't care. It's like, nah, that there's definitely care within the comments. Okay, so moving on to question number 4, just a little background here. This is evaluating each group for how they feel about transitions. Some groups were asked less commentary than others. For example, at the elementary level, they were only asked to evaluate their transition from elementary to middle. They haven't experienced it yet. So it's a projected perspective. So there you see your results there. I'll let a minute to digest that. And then I'm going to move on to survey question number, same question, grades 6 through 8. And this is also elementary to middle. So you can kind of get a sense, I'll flip back and forth. Interestingly enough, the data is pretty consistent. And then now moving on through 9 through 12. So we are asked across the board for 9 through 12, elementary to middle, middle to high, and high school to college, career, and life.
So wait, back to middle school. We didn't ask them anticipating their shift to high school?
In this case, we did not.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Fair. And then moving on to parent perception of all three levels. I talked to PTA about this. We do think that the reason we see a lot of NA is parents just saying like, well, my kid's not there yet, so I'm not sure. Which I think is you can see some of that, you mean like in the responses here, it's just more pronounced among the parents. I agree with that. You mean like without having that data, I agree with that. Yeah. And then staff. And then moving on to question 5. Question 5 was sort of the catch-all. Did we forget anything? Here, the reason you don't see results in 3.5 and 6.8 is I eliminated any results that were already covered under the other areas. So there was, for students, frequent mention of classroom instruction, for example. That was covered within the goals. So it's not to say that the students didn't have opinions here, but they were covered. I stretched it to the limit for all, and there you see even some are pretty close to the other areas, but I tried to include as much as I could that I felt somewhat differentiated. Even on parent engagement, parent communication, these were more specific commentaries, so I went ahead and included them. Any clarifying questions here?
No, I just want to say I appreciate that you kind of categorize some of these because that's a lot of raw data to dig through that I've started doing and have not completed. So
even with ChatGPT, it took a while to try to organize it. And I'm still going through the raw data myself to digest it. Like I just finished 6 through 8, and so I'm on to the high school because it's just a lot of responses. The raw data is very valuable to read because I think it provides color commentary. And then something that I did just recently, and I'm going to try to do with staff as well too, is I went to ASB leadership last week and shared with them the summary results of the high schools, and then asked if there were areas that they thought were accurate or inaccurate. You mean like, so how did the data hit them, and collected data there too. So it's more interactive in that sense, and getting just, hey, can we read between the lines? Do you agree with this? Because they, ASB is student representatives, so they're representing the school. Okay, so what's next? Now for us, and us as a board team and superintendent, deeper analysis into the survey results. So going into the summaries and then going into the raw data, you have that information shared in the board update, and preparing for goal draft number 1 on April 15th. I will come with a draft for the board to work off of, but that is our opportunity to put it all together. Then in May, we'll do the feedback meetings. We'll present a draft, and just that, we'll present it as a draft to these various educational partners in order to collect feedback. That feedback will be brought back to the board as a feedback summary on May 27th board meeting. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
Comments, questions?
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right, consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve consent agenda items 5A through N.
And I'll second.
Is there any discussion? I'd just like to learn a little more about item L. Dr. Plotkin, can you give us a little color on that item L?
Yes, IXL is supplemental curriculum. that provides diagnostic tools for educators and tools where they can add on to what they're currently teaching, but also uses Tier 2 interventions that provides targeted intervention for students.
Is it district-wide?
It's done, it's district-wide grades 6 through 12.
Okay. Thanks. Any other questions? Seeing none, Grady, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, passes 5-0. Moving on to item 6A. Do we have a motion?
I'll move approval of 6A.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Grady, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, passes 5-0. Number 7A, acceptance of gifts, Board Clerk Wheaton.
In accordance with the Board of Education Policy Number 3290, the Board of Education may accept gifts as long as there is no conflict with the Education Code or other public laws. The school district has received generous donations as detailed below. These donations do not conflict with any Education Code or public laws regarding acceptance of gifts. We have $264 from the Black Bod Giving Fund. We have $859.15 from Kroger, $493.75 from Bright Funds, $854 from Richmond Street School PTA, and $3,000 from UCD Supply Chain Management. I move to approve the gifts as read.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Grady, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes 5-0. Item 7B, Dr. Linz?
Thank you.
Hello?
Scattering credit, yes. No, I am, yeah, thank you. So as the board knows, the district does self-fund retiree benefits for our certificated retirees. There's an annual requirement for there to be a study of those funds for the external audit. I recommend, this is the summary of that report, and I recommend approval.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you. For those of us who are retired teachers, thank you.
Grady, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, passes 5-0. Item 7C, Dr. Linz.
It's so weird to hear that, sorry. This is a revision of our certificate of signatures, adding Ms. Beal and our new fiscal director as signatories for the school district. We did a similar thing when Dr. Johnson came on, so I recommend approval.
I move to approve action item 7C.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Grady, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes 5-0. Item 7D, Dr. Linz.
This is an agreement with Siemens to complete our annual fire inspection and testing as required by law. I recommend approval.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Grady, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes 5-0. Item 8A, Dr. Plotkin.
Yes, this item appeared as information pending action in the last board meeting. This is the adoption of the English Language Arts textbook, the My Perspectives by Savas curriculum, and I recommend approval.
So this time I can say, I'll move to approve, right? Yeah, okay. I move to approve.
And, you have a second?
I'd second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Grady, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes 5-0. Item 9A, Dr. Plotkin.
Thank you. Yes, this is approval of the summer extended special education extended school year at geometry and high school credit recovery programs. It'll be at Richmond Street School and El Segundo High School, and I recommend approval.
I move for approval of action item 9A.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Grady, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes 5-0. Now we move on to section 10, information pending action. Ms. Veal.
Yes, this board policy and administrative regulation are specific to our uniform complaint procedures, and they're being brought forth for review with proposed changes and updates to ensure compliance with federal regulations and education code. They'll be brought back to the board in the next meeting for action.
Are you covering both A and B? In that?
Yes, and so the next set, policies and administrative regulations, they're also being brought forth for review. The next set is covering non-discrimination in employment, sexual harassment, and Title IX policies. They too have been updated to ensure federal and state compliance, and they too will be brought forth to the board as an action item in the next board meeting.
Thank you. I'm sure we're all looking forward to reading. Start already. All right, moving on to
Exciting
section
stuff.
11, the informational calendar, and the big news is no meeting on April 8th.
Correct.
But we get a tax day special board meeting instead, so. and we're back here on the 22nd. Anything else? Nothing missing? Special meetings and taxes go together. And 11B, financial statements from the high school ASB are available. Going on to section 12, board members report, starting with Member Beachley.
Okay, so I have spent some time at Center Street, first with Magic Night, where everyone had a great time. It's always fun to watch kids in magic, so it was great. Also went to the PTA meeting where they elected their new officers, and plans were discussed for the daughter's dad dance and the son's mom night. So Penny Challenge was a huge success. I think the TK kindergarten kids actually won, which was very exciting. I'm going to be scooping ice cream at Cold Stones with two of my favorite retired Center Street teachers, Miss Moot and Miss Galtrino, on December 23rd at 5 o'clock, if anybody would like to, April. Yeah, December. I have Christmas on my brain, sorry. April, yeah, who knows? April 23rd at 5 o'clock. There's other dates that you can see other teachers and get your ice cream. It's a great fundraiser, so come on out. Had a little time at the high school as well. Visited some high school classrooms with Daima and Heather and Jason. And then later that day, got to watch the first track meet that I've ever seen at the high school, which was really interesting and odd because you watch the kids start and then you lose them behind the stands and then they show up again. It was, it was a very interesting, it's just an interesting track meet. But that was a great time. The PTA Honorary Service Awards and Founder Day was last week. Over 100 people were honored or were had nominations. A huge congrats to Sammy Kennison Smith, who was awarded the first ever Golden Oak Forest Student, which was a huge deal. The board was in full force with the exception of Heather, but she was on the nomination list for all of her work that she does at Center Street, but she was at work, so it happens. I'd like to give a couple of save the date for SoCal Rock. The All-Star Celebration is May 1st, and then we also have an open house, and I'm gonna have to double check on the date, but I will get those to you. We'd love to have you come out and honor our SoCal kids. The Women's Club had their annual spaghetti night where they were raising fund for their restoration. They're trying to raise $100,000 to restore some of the old schoolhouse, which is in some disarray, and they're up over $80,000 right now. So they are well on their way, but if anybody would like to contribute, that would be great. Some of the money from the fundraiser also goes to high school scholarships, which is also a great thing. The Young Entrepreneurs was last Saturday. Beyond impressive. There were 87 booths of miscellaneous wares. There was live music, but I think the thing that I appreciated almost more than the wonderful stuff they were selling was that a part of all of their sales was donated to charity. So we're already teaching these kids about service, which is really important. So I was very impressed by that. And then, as Grady mentioned, part one of Civics Day was yesterday. The students were given their project, a chance to tour City Hall. I have a lovely video of Grady with the fire hose. I'd like to thank the city, all 5 council members, the police department, the fire department, all of their local leaders had a group of kids. And I can't wait to see the wonderful things that you guys all have planned when you do your presentations in May. And that's my report.
My report is short and sweet. It was a joy to walk through the high school after going to the high school and seeing all the transitions that have happened and how many amazing things that we are offering our students. I literally sent a text to my husband saying, Jax is taking the business pathway. We have to do this. Like, that's amazing. Like, AP Psych, we walked into that, and it was just amazing things that I don't think, if I wasn't on this side of, the dais, that parents don't get to experience those things and see how great really, these classes are. Our kids come home and they complain because it's just another class or they have homework, but really what our kids are learning and the opportunities that we are giving them at El Segundo is just truly remarkable. So that was a very fun treat, and I don't think I have much more. It's been a lot of work that I've been doing. So that's it.
Thank you. On 3/19, I had a chance to visit the high school and do the tour, and other board members present, as stated, was Member Sutherland and Member Beachley. I have to tell you, the wonderful thing about the school tour is that you get to go in and experience learning firsthand. And you get to go into the classroom, you see the kids in their element, and there are some, like, there was one class that we went in, and then we went into another classroom, and the same student was there, and you could see how this student showed up in each class the exact same way, the excellence, not being ruffled at all that there are visitors in there, and it's just a rich experience, and very happy to have that opportunity. It's led by Principal Gebhardt, and of course we have our superintendent present as well. On 3/19, as Beachley said, we had a chance to visit a track meet held at our school. And that's unique in itself because it's extremely rare that we have them, that we host competitions at our school because of the way that our track is set up. And so for the very energetic kids, when they start the race and the students are running in front of us, we could see them, and then us calmer, more, let's say, let me think of a more appropriate, seasoned, I don't want to say older people, would wait for them to come around, where you would see the students just run up the bleachers, look to watch them on the backside, and then run back down for when they return. So definitely a treat, because we rarely have that opportunity. So I'm happy that we were able to pull that off. And lastly, we had Civics Day on 3/24. Board members present were President Glenn, Vice President Miller Zarnicki, and Member Beachley. And this was the 6th annual day for our senior projects, and that's our high school seniors. It's day 1 of a 2-day project. The second day takes place in May. And this one was interesting because you come in, they are introduced to all of our civic leaders, and then they get to shadow them to find out exactly what they do. The reason why this is so important is because we're sitting here because we're in service, and I'm not sure at what point we all were engaged. I know when I was engaged, but for the rest of you. But for these students to have this opportunity at the high school level is amazing, because they can either one day be in these seats or they can be involved enough to drive the direction of their community. Either way, it's a win-win for the students and for the communities for which they serve. Upcoming PTA meetings for Richmond Street PTA, their next meeting is May 12th at 6:30, and they have a couple of events that I want to share. They have the 5th grade ice skating night at the Toyota Center, which is coming up March 29th. They also have the RSS STEAM Literacy Family Night, a real treat. That's April 3rd, and then Daughters Night Out is April 26th. For the next ESHS PTSA meeting, it is May 7th at 6:30 p.m. And their upcoming events, they have the new drivers workshop with ESPD, and that is, let's see, I didn't write that date down, so you don't have that date, sorry. And then you have the ESHS, actually you do have it because they send a newsletter out every Sunday, and if you have an opportunity, open it. There's lots of goodies in there, so please take a moment to check that out. That's a quiz to make you go to that spot, to the newsletter. On April 23rd, they have the Student Appreciation Day, so for students, encouraging students to join the PTSA and get involved. And they have a lot of active students at the high school. Again, another opportunity to be involved and to drive the narrative. And lastly, they have on April 30th, Preparing for Senior Year and Beyond with our former ESHS counselor, Stephanie Burns, and Paul Jury from PJ Test Prep. So another great opportunity and event to celebrate. And that concludes my report.
Okay, lots of good stuff going on. I want to report back to mostly my fellow board about the last LAXTA meeting we had. It was a week ago Monday. We had great speakers on advocacy and raising your voice to other legislative levels, and a great budget outlook presentation. But I feel like we're really well versed in that here, so it's like, yeah, we know that already. We, as an executive board in LAXTA, also voted to send letters of support for SB 48 and AB 49, which are bills that are moving through legislature regarding protecting schools and daycares as safe spaces against, in the face of unwarranted immigration policies. So we are put those forward this week. We'll mention a short but sweet facility advisory committee that we had around the lonely, quiet district office space. It was really like a little plant that's not going to make it, and a penny on the floor here, and but what it is like setting the tone for, all right, here we are, and fast forward a short time in the future, let's just say, to what it's going to be. It was just amazing to see it empty And I hope that everybody is finding their place around the district in their new temporary office space. So thank you to everybody, especially Ms. Dr. Lentz and everybody who's figuring all that out and made sure that people got to where they need to be, and it's moving forward. So thank you. I will tell you that the PTSA at the middle school also did their elections last week. So it was great to see new board members coming in. And again, to anyone who steps into those roles, thank you so much for putting yourself out there. And, you know, with the honorary service awards that we saw, it's amazing to see the people win. But really, to me, it was amazing to see the stage full of nominees and know that even that many hundred people is just a fraction of the people that work so hard in this community across all the schools day in and day out. So I just want to say thank you to the organizers of the event, Chelsea and CJ, but also more so even to the supportive community, that a portion of which were honored in that event. A few fellow board members and I went to the chamber mixer after that. It was great to again take a moment on the fly for some of us to be there with our partners in town and to meet new folks also. We met a theater group that's using the Performing Arts Center now, and we're like, oh, great, that's good to know. All these people are excited to be part of what we do here in our schools. So it was great to have a moment with that community. Civics Day, amazing. One of my favorite reasons to show up in City Hall. Every year we do it. So yay to everyone. Can't wait to see day 2. I hope you had a good time, Grady. And it was, you know, always such a gift of partnership right there. So thank you again to the city teaming up on that. Tomorrow I'll be logging into a county level United Against Hate meeting on behalf of my role in the South Bay Community Coalition Against Hate. So I'll report back to you on what's happening with that coming up later this year. And I look forward to being part of Career Day, again this Thursday, another amazing event. Like, I feel like I smile all day. Now this time I gotta do my lectures by myself. I usually share the time, so I don't know. If anybody wants to show up and guest entertain with me, I don't know if I can do this for 45 minutes, but I love the opportunity to see the mix of people that come and show up with the vast array of careers that our students might lead into. It's awesome. Great energy there, so looking forward to that. And lastly, congrats to the new doctors in the house, Dr. DeVlantis and Dr. Lentz. I know we haven't done the official stuff yet, but seeing the name on the agenda, awesome. So congrats to that, and enjoy spring break, everybody. We'll see you for not the normal date, but 2 meetings next month. Okay.
Thank you. Well, I'm not going to go over many of the things my colleagues have already mentioned. Thank you very much. But I just want to say on Saturday morning, I took my dog on a walk. We passed by the high school field, and it was so gratifying to see so many kids enjoying our facilities on a weekend. And I know that's Dr. Linz is at the heart of making all that happen too, but it's so important that our community gets to enjoy our facilities when we're not using them for our purposes. I'm going to mention I was at the PTSA meeting last night with Dr. Johnson, and just to remind everyone that the Run for Education is coming up in about 4 weeks' time. I think it's April 27th. And are you running it, by the way? Yeah. Yeah. In costume or nope?
Straight up, I gotta win this time.
All right. So for anyone who hasn't ever been here on Run for Ed morning, it's always picture perfect. I think we start at 8. It's a 3-mile loop. If you're doing the 5K, you do 1 loop. If you're doing the 10K, you do 2. And then there's a fair in Library Park afterwards with lots of booths, medals for everyone. So it's a great event. And if you're not a runner or your foot happens to be in a boot, you can always volunteer to be a corner monitor or find other way to support the event. But it's really, really fun. And I can't even read. Oh, lastly, I think we always should be mentioning the great work that the Ed Foundation is doing, and the gala is coming up soon. Tickets are on sale. You can buy them online. The most amazing night every year in this town, and hope everybody out there is buying their tickets. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, President Glenn. First off, I'd like to give a shout out to Mariah, Christina, Wendy, Laura, Cheryl. Those are your new PTA and PTSA presidents. Just, you know, to me, being a PTA president is a monumental task, having worked closely with them. What I always say is, you know, it's hard enough raising your own kids, and then you're volunteering, in this case, to help raise 3,500 other kids, and they do it for free. So just, you know, can't do without them. They're so vital to our schools. I call about 3 to 5 ed donors per week just to give them a thank you. So I'd just like to take a moment just to, you know, thank, you know, ed donors. You know, it's a long list of people, I mean, like that give, and then, you know, give over you know, years and years and years. And what I like calling them for is, like, you know, if you can get them on the horn, they're always just like, oh, yeah, you know, no problem, you know, like, so just so humble and kind, and it's just like, that's why I like doing it. I just want to give a shout out to the classified staff who helped get the district office into the middle school and Richmond and the high school for Jack. They just did an incredible job. I mean, like, you know, Jacoby, when I blew out the power within the first 2 days of being there, Jacoby was there with like an extension cord. I mean, like, Araceli like looked at like the blown wall, and then, you know, even Carlos came by. He was like, okay, let me take a look at this. And then Elmer was eventually there with M&O. So I just, you know, that is just one example of us being babied, for lack of a better word, to help get us done seamlessly there. And it's just, you know, it's a lot of effort from everybody, but it's a lot of classified effort. So just a special shout out to them. Loved being at Young Entrepreneurs on Saturday. So awesome. Those kids took me to the cleaners. I'm telling you, they were hustling. I seriously, I thought I came in there with like a couple $100, and I was like looking at my wallet. I was like, how much did I spend? So it was really, really great. But just some, I want to give a shout out to the parents as well too, who helped at each of the booths. And I kept on joking whenever I'd run into a booth where there was just the parents there and the kids had run off to go play. I was like, man, management's so aloof here. You know, you guys need to unionize. So it was just a really cool day. They had over 80 booths. That's amazing. Great opportunity, and PTA is behind that as well too. Did the first leg of the restroom tours. Me and Elmer got into every single bathroom at Richmond and the high school. I do mean every single one. We had to like shoo boys away because the boys were like, "Can't we just use the bathroom while you're in there?" We're like, "No, go." And so it was great. You mean, like, you know, to me, there's a standard of cleanliness that needs to be synonymous with our school district, and I do think that our staff works really hard to get there. And you mean, like, we can be better. Just a shout out to Dr. Lenz and Elmer at M&O and the custodial and M&O team who are working hard in order to raise the bar so that our students are more comfortable, I mean, like, at our schools. And then the Chili Palooza, I am a Kiwanian and a Rotarian. The Chili Palooza is on the 29th, and this comes full circle for me because my first El Segundo experience last year was the Chili Palooza, and it poured rain. So hopefully that won't happen, but I'll be there volunteering. Come on out, have some chili, and enjoy there's a cornhole tournament at 1 o'clock as well too. So it'll be a good old time for a good cause, namely our schools. The Battle of the South Bay, this is a video game competition. You saw our winners from the high school. It is going down on April 1st, 5 p.m. at Paris. We are going to be, I feel like we're heavy favorites. I saw our guys win the championship, you mean like at the high school, live, and they dominated. And everyone was good. So the word on the street is that odds favor us. So if you want to see a winner. Speaking of technology, we'll be at the it's an AI conference, but our students will be present and presenting on April 5th in San Diego. Dr. Janisek, soon to be Dr. Janisek, will be there as well also. And then in the spirit of complimenting a colleague, I just want to give a shout out to Daima. I just really appreciate that you have me reflect about care and empathy for staff. and that's something that you always put forward. You mean like, hey, are we taking care of our staff? Are we thinking this through? And that goes a long way, because I'm staff too. So I really appreciate that, so thank you. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. We do not need to recess to close session, so at 7:31, it's my pleasure to adjourn our meeting.